themed game of BeSt versus NH. I'm pretty sure, or INH, I guess. We're just going to go with INH for now. I'm not sure what his real StarCraft name is, if anything, but you all know BeSt, you're familiar with him. So we do have INH as a Terran player going to be spawning at the bottom left here, and this is going to be on the map Fighting Spirit. That's about all the data we can gather right now, but we're very new, if you guys don't know, and when I say we, I mean the collective audience of anybody coming to watch here. We don't know where BeSt lies. He has been playing with SKT in StarCraft 2 for now, and so it's very interesting to see how far along he's come from playing StarCraft 2 back into StarCraft 1. Is he going to be able to compete well in the Sonic Ranking Tournament number 16, which is currently going on? Or is he going to fall out pretty quickly? So I found this replay on Team Liquid and decided to just kind of talk through it and see what happens. We do see the supply depot coming down. I expected Terran and the Protoss players stay on one base for a little while, but if we see Terran expand pretty quickly, hopefully BeSt isn't rusty and he will meet the Terran player in the middle by expanding himself. We do see that the gateway is coming up, so pylon gateway, I expect maybe Cybernetics core to be built nearby on this pylon, because you don't want to waste too many minerals building the pylon when you know that you can just build within the same field right here. So a pretty quick gas. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be rushing to anything. It just means that he wants his gas to make sure he can get that range upgrade, get those Dragoons out at a pretty decent time. But we do see that the barracks is coming down right now. There is no refinery being built at this time, so without the refinery being built, you could maybe presume that the command center is going to be coming out for our Terran player. So we may see command center first for INH. Meanwhile, what is BeSt going to be going for here? So he does build the Cybernetics core, and not building that additional pylon just yet. Even though he will need it soon, you know, his probes are stacking up pretty quickly here, and I expect another pylon in a bit, but we do have the Cybernetics core coming down right now, which means he's probably going to want that range upgrade along with his Dragoons to come out and pressure this. But we do see that the probe is scouting across the map and the longest way possible. He wants to know what route he has to take, and by splitting all the way across the map and scouting to this top area first, will allow him to move his units more effectively, realize what the situation is, and how far his Dragoons are going to have to travel to start applying pressure. So INH, he's feeling very confident, apparently, by going with this command center. There is no bunker being built yet. You know, he's got one Marine on the way, probably a few more coming out to help protect. He's going to have to get submarines inside of a bunker soon because Dragoons will be on the way. Yes, we have one Dragoon being built. Now you can see by watching in replays, it's a little bit different than watching non-replays because you can actually see how long it takes for an upgrade to go. It's just painfully long to see this upgrade bar move, but it's such an important one. Range allows you to reach this bunker, which is finally being built by INH, and you can outrange it by sitting your Dragoons just about this area right here. And by sitting in this area, you're going to force a couple SCVs off. Now, one or two Dragoons will only force maybe one or two SCVs. I think it's almost proportional where you need an SCV to repair equal to the number of Dragoons. But once the Dragoon count gets to like 5, then you better pull more than 5 SCVs. I think you want to get about 6 or 7 on there just to be absolutely safe. Plus you got to do a lot of micro to make sure your SCVs, because they'll start wrapping around this area here, and once you start getting towards this corner here around this area, it's going to make you in range of those Dragoons too. So a decent micro Protoss player might be able to start focusing on some SCVs once they come into range very quickly. On the flip side, if you accidentally try to attack one of the SCVs in this area, so we'll see BeSt trying to find this ideal location for his Dragoons, which is sitting right about here. You know, sometimes when you're a new player, it's a little bit frustrating and difficult to find that sweet spot away from the bunker. But now we see that the 2 SCVs are coming over. You know, I don't think that he's going to need a third quite yet. The repair is coming along nice and swell. Now 4 Marines are inside the bunker, which means running by the bunker is going to be really difficult. So the barracks here is coming out to just kind of give a nice scout, or it might land right here to prevent anything from running through in case Zealots come along. So now we do see that there is a nexus inside the natural for BeSt, and that means he's going to be able to start working towards that macro game that he is so famously known for. So we still only see 2 SCVs, but an additional Dragoon is going to be coming along and applying pressure. So immediately I would think INH, if he's on top of his game, he's going to be bringing another SCV over. And you see a little bit slacking in macro, an idle SCV for way too long right here. That could be helping him out in such a crucial situation. Excuse my English today. So we do see another Dragoon coming along, and if you didn't notice, there is a robotics facility. Now let's look for the factory here, or support bay. So now we do have the robotics support bay just finishing up, and that means that we're going to be getting Reavers following this shuttle. So we do see the Reaver getting queued up already. Now, you know, people really frown against players who queue their units, but I'm sorry, when your shuttle is almost done, it's appropriate for you to queue up that Reaver so you can go move on to better things. So the tank sitting in this position here, it's actually getting a shot off on almost every single unit. I think I heard a total of 4 shots, so let's look at the damage here. So BeSt already taking full shield damage on 1, 2, 3 of his units, and in fact taking actual physical damage on this one. It was a little bit of an overcommitment to take that to take the damage beyond his shields. Along with that, you know, he did force minerals to be spent on rebuilding this bunker, and it was just a nice little, you know, forced repair move by the Protoss player BeSt. We do see that there is an additional factory coming along, but with these extra tanks, it's going to be really hard for a Protoss player to try and bust through. That is why we're sitting at the 6-minute mark, and we already see a 3rd Nexus coming along. So this is typical BeSt. He knows what he can get away with. A decent Dragoon count. He didn't see that many more tanks, and no, this is not a command center up here. If you were looking at the minimap, it's an engineering bay, just kind of scouting out the area. And I think that INH, he wants to make sure that he does have the upgrades. And look at this, the Reaver drop coming in here just in time. You can hear the turrets in the background. And how many SCVs is this going to take out? It looks like one of the dud scarabs are ready, and just a little bit of damage on top of the shuttle because it got in range of the turret. But that Reaver, I don't think it got maybe 2 kills, 3 kills. So a decent defense here with the placement of his 2 tanks, just allowing him to get the shots off. And these SCVs are pretty much back in order here. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. There was a lot of open area here beforehand, and that's why one of the turrets just finished being built. We have an additional turret, and then a hidden command center up here, but I think that's going to end up getting scouted out. BeSt is doing a great job. Let me see how many more observers that does he have on the map. Sneaking one in here, but it's about to get in range of this turret. Is there going to be more than one shot off? No, and it doesn't even aggro the attention of this Goliath. But we do see the shuttle wanted to get inside, and an additional observer right here on the map. So BeSt wants to make sure he has all the vision possible. And look at this. He's just queuing up massive amounts of observers. And I don't know if we see a lot of Protoss players necessarily do this, which makes me really happy because I'm someone who invests in a lot of observers myself, even with the observer range upgrade, which obviously we don't know if that's been upgraded at this point, but it does come from the robotics support bay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 gateways now sitting inside of the natural base. You know, a good group of 8 Dragoons right here, another support group of Dragoons sitting at the 3rd base, and INH, he's got to make sure he lifts that command center up. It should be finished at this time. Yes, just another couple seconds, and then it's going to be done. But there's a lot of vision and Dragoons moving around the map, and so INH, the best thing for him to do right now is to get scouts out, get these vultures moving across the map, dropping spider mines down, and hopefully zoning out the areas that BeSt will want to try and move in. BeSt, fortunately though, on the other hand, he's continuing to build these massive amounts of observers. And look, he even has one just sitting outside the base here. No, this is indeed the shuttle. So the shuttle coming in here, there's already an observer at the support here. And he wants to make sure anything that tries to come this way, he could pick off pretty easily. INH not moving in with anything in that area here, and look at that, Spider-Mine almost picking off one of the Dragoons here. It does some moderate shield damage to the rest of the surrounding Dragoons, and so not great micro by BeSt. He's got to be a little bit more careful. A nice Reaver shot taking out 2 of these Marines, but the shuttle is going to want to get away. So BeSt, he's sitting heavily on 3 bases. He's got the assimilators up and mining, but if you look at this, a very fresh refinery. You can actually look, it's 4,320, so you know that not much gas has been mined compared to 2,900 here, and he doesn't have an additional gas here. So we have 3 bases with gas, and that would almost give us the conclusion that we would see a Templar Archives. Well, I was going to say Stargate. So we also see a Templar Archives along with this Stargate. The +1 upgrade finally coming along. So I think that the upgrade advantage is actually going to be in the favor of our Terran player, but that's not necessarily the case either. Let's try and find the armory on the map, and is it getting any upgrades? So we do see the upgrade on its way. +1 weapons about to finish versus the timing for the upgrades here. So +1 weapons for a Protoss player. It's 10 minutes and 30 seconds, and both of these players are just finishing up their +1 weapon upgrades. So if you're a player on the Protoss or Terran side, you can understand that while these upgrades are important, and sometimes people try and rush these upgrades, if you're not going for that push, if you're going for this macro build, then it's okay to delay that +1 upgrade just a little bit while longer. BeSt, though, he's getting an additional Nexus, so that means he's going to have 4 bases. His economy is going to be really strong, and doing the cautious thing by building a couple photon cannons to prevent any of the harassing vultures to do too much damage. But we do see an additional armory is on the way, and that's not surprising because now that you have this huge economy, you have a great setup of units here. These tanks are in a nice position. It's going to be really hard to cross this bridge as a Protoss player without the help of the Arbiter. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another forge. So yes, we do have a second forge coming down, which will be so important for these upgrades. And now that we have the Arbiter Tribunal done, it's going to help out a lot, so that way we can start getting the energy upgrade, then we can have the stasis field upgrade, then the Arbiter is going to be much more useful here. But a nice engagement here. It looks like we may have missed a little bit of the battle. 2 of the Dragoons getting taken out right away, and they're trying to get the mines down. So 2 Dragoons die to mines, a 3rd Dragoon dies to mines, and a couple of these probes are going to go down. But in the end, BeSt has a 4th base that didn't hurt him too much, and it seems like he overall survived, but a little bit of lacking micro is what prevented him from coming out with more units. He's just slightly scathed, and BeSt in Pro League 2 years ago, that's kind of unacceptable. But there he is, luckily able to take out that spider mine. Now the other situation here, we do see spider mines giving the area here. Still great vision by the Protoss player. He has an observer here, an observer here, an observer here, an observer in this area here. Sorry, they're actually kind of hard to see. And look at this just cluster of tanks sitting inside this area. They're pretty much safe. You have, the turrets set up in this position here. But I think that there's a little bit of a mistake by not setting up turrets out across this bridge, because I know that eventually INH is going to want to push out, and he's going to have to eventually confront this terrifying Protoss army that's going to be macroed out. But oh my god, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 gateways. At the 13-minute mark, we have 12 gateways. BeSt is maxed out. He has 4 bases, and he even has just idle probes because he's doing so good. So a little bit of macro slipping on the probes, but regardless, he has this 200 army count. He's pumping out more and more arbiters, but this is his opportunity. While he's so far ahead, he's got to push in. And like I said, he did not push out, INH did not move out his tanks in time, and so now he's trying to set up on top of this bridge. But the problem is, he's just put himself inside of this choke. He can't get any more of his support units out to the front, and getting these vultures out to the front to drop down the spider mines is really important. So we see a group of Dragoons flanking to the top here. We do have dropship or shuttle Templar that's going to come in here and drop massive amount of storms. And look at this, additional Stargate coming down, queued up Arbiter here, and both our upgrades are going on the way for the Protoss player. So sitting at 1 +1 attack, he's going to be at +2 attack, +1 armor. Meanwhile, we do see +2 attack for our Terran player, And I think that +1 armor is about to finish up here. Yes, you can see that upgrade is on its way. Fortunately, we do have the science facility done. Science vessels are being pushed out, but how effective are these science vessels going to be? 80 energy and 25 energy. So it looks like EMP trying to go off here, and that actually was pretty effective. One of the arbiters going to go down, but massive amounts of storms are going to take out this front line of tanks. Another good storm right here, doing a lot of damage, taking out well, basically damaging these 4 tanks here. So that was a pretty good engagement. So now the Dragoons trying to pull away. These High Templar, they need to wait for more energy before engaging again. 70, 70. So they almost all can get their storms, at least one more storm again. But BeSt, why not? He can wait until he macros out again. So like I said, he had 14 gateways at this time. I wonder if he has any more room for gateways anywhere else. And yes, you can see 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So BeSt is already at 21 upgrades, 5 bases at the 15-minute mark. This is just a completely, may I use the term, power overwhelming position for BeSt at this time. And it's got to be a really difficult time to hold when you have, limited energy on these science vessels. The tank line just isn't there like before, and there's not a ton of vultures supporting. So now we do see the engagement again. The nice little flank from these zealots, the storm coming down, and that is a massive amount of storms. This was reminding me of Jongbi when he just ran over Flash, with his beautiful storm play back in the OSL, and BeSt showing this is why he is, the ultimate PvT player here. So while he may still be unproven in the other matchups between PvZ and PvP, he is definitely showing why he is still a great Terran player, playing so well. This turret is going to burn down if he doesn't take it out himself. Yes, it eventually does. And INH is trying to move out with some vultures and maybe do some harass, but that's not going to be good enough. We still have an arbiter out. One of the Archons morphed from 2 low energy High Templar here. And looks like this turret is getting taken out. So the anti-air just isn't there. The arbiter is going to do a lot for this army. And a huge stasis coming down on top of that science vessel, which means it's going to be pretty much useless for the next minute or so. So Zealots running in here, going to take out a lot. And oh, the nice little spider mine to take out that front line of Zealots. But it seems like this is going to be an unending amount of army here. We have more Dragoons pushing down, trying to take care of the Vulture harassment coming through. We have another streaming line of units here coming from the natural base. And it looks like we have a force lift on the command center. So these Zealots coming across, they're sitting inside the main base now. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factories to 21 gateways. I mean, that you just can't physically, the game doesn't allow you to match 21 gateways with this little amount of factories. So I missed maybe 2 factories right here. Those were turrets up there. So let me recount for you. There were 8 total factories, and that is going to be it. GG. And you can just see when we kind of take a second to reflect on how the game went, that BeSt, he had no harassment on him. It seemed like he didn't have to really deal with that at all. So take a player that's kind of elevated himself, like C or Haya or Sack. So those better TVP players that are still in this upper echelon of the player pool. And we may have a little bit more of an interesting game. The thing is, it's going to be a huge snowball effect for BeSt if he does not get harassed. If he's the one who's putting on the pressure, containing the areas, and getting away with everything that he wants to get these additional bases, that is why at the 17-minute mark, he's got this huge 5 base pressure, 21 gateways, and can just do, like I said, a snowball effect where you're just constantly getting overwhelmed more and more and more until there's too much army and you can never fight back. It's just, the avalanche is upon you. You have to just eventually tap out and say, okay, I can't survive this. I've given up too much ground and I have to end the game. GG. So even though INH did a pretty decent job, he got up on those 3 bases. He actually had some pretty decent positioning inside of his base. He did not push out properly, and he did not harass properly. So BeSt was able to come back into this, or not come back into the game, just maintain this massive lead from beginning to end. So it's really cool to see how BeSt played. Very excited to see some more of his games. We're going to look for a little bit more replays here. But thank you for listening to the cast. I hope that I provided some insight, and you were able to see how well he is playing at this level and time, coming from SKT right now during their break in the SC2 Pro League. So thank you again, and good night.